Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're stepping into the shadows, exploring those unsettling moments where everyday life, well, it twists into something terrifying. We've gathered some truly chilling personal accounts, stories that blur that line between what we think is real and something else entirely. These aren't just campfire tales. These are real experiences, things that happened to people and left a permanent mark. So prepare yourselves for a journey into the unexpected, the genuinely frightening stuff that might be closer than you think.
Yes, and these accounts really serve as a stark, unsettling reminder of the hidden horrors that could, potentially lurk just beneath the surface of our ordinary perception.
Our first story takes us to a place you'd think is safe, maybe even mundane, high school. But this wasn't about grades or prom dates. This was something darker. It apparently started with a pretty innocent announcement, a seminar for teens. Yeah, the principal announced it over the intercom one morning. An author was coming, offering extra credit, and the big draw for teenagers' food. Sounded harmless, right? But then the first weird thing happened. After the announcement, flyers for this seminar suddenly appeared everywhere, all over the school.
Yeah.
Where there were none just, an hour or two before. It was like they just materialized. So the person telling the story and their friends, tempted by the food and credit, they decided to go. They get to the classroom, about 30 kids are there, some teachers, even the dean. Seemed normal enough at first, but then maybe 5 minutes before it's supposed to start, this group of adults walks in, completely silent, and they don't sit down. They just spread out around the room, standing. One even stood right by the door, kind of blocking it. And the smiles, the storyteller described them as forced, tight-lipped, like they were in pain but making themselves smile through it. Really unsettling. Then the speaker introduces himself. Average-looking, middle-aged Asian man. Said he was a doctor, a devout Catholic, father of two. Seemed normal, perhaps. But then he says his book is to protect teens from evils and lies taught in schools. He actually claimed most teachers were possessed by evil spirits. Wow, okay.
Yeah, and those silent adults, they were his congregation. The teaching got bizarre really fast. How to protect yourself from the lie of evolution, guard against demons, and the only way to be saved, join his church, which he never named.
Classic red flags there.
Absolutely. He even offered rides to services after the seminar, gave out assistance phone numbers for future pickups. The narrator and their friends are just exchanging these confused looks. You could feel the fear, apparently. The teachers looked terrified. The dean was bright red, clearly furious, but trapped, maybe. Then came the food. Trays of grape juice and these large, kind of weird-looking white sugar cookies. Innocuous enough, maybe, until one of the friends, Steph, who had a strict religious background, she had this horrible realization.
What was it?
It was a mock communion. The grape juice for the blood of Jesus, the cookie for his flesh. And she saw other kids already eating and drinking it.
Oh, that's deeply disturbing. Co-opting religious ritual like that. Right. Steph tried to refuse, but one of the assistants was really insistent, basically forced her to take the juice and cookie. The aftermath was chilling. They threw the books away. But later that week, some kids who were at the meeting, kids who ate the food, ended up in the ER, foodborne illness.
Just illness.
That's what was said initially. But even worse, a few of those kids were later reported missing, just gone. When asked, the dean got super defensive and a teacher just expressed regret but wouldn't say more.
That is terrifying. The calculated manipulation using the school, the intimidation, the communion, and then the disappearances. It points to something truly insidious, a dangerous group, no question.
Absolutely chilling. Okay, moving from the horror of a group to the terror of an individual. Our next account is about obsession. A published author whose life gets completely turned upside down by a stalker. This was a 45-year-old male author in Wyoming. He wrote gay-themed supernatural thrillers, had a bit of local fame, but that fame attracted the wrong kind of attention. It started, seemingly innocently enough. A guy, described as a large biker dude, long, stringy blonde hair, tattoos, approaches him at work, asks him to sign some books.
Okay, a bit unusual for the genre maybe, but not inherently threatening at first.
Right. The author thought it was a bit surprising, but he signed them. But then it escalated. Weeks later, the same guy shows up again. Then months later, he appears 30 miles away at another workplace, always with books to sign.
That's definitely moving beyond just being a fan. That's persistent.
It got much worse. The biker was then seen just hanging out in front of the author's house in the back alley.
Yeah.
Then neighbors reported seeing him casing the house, peering in windows while the author was away on a book tour.
So clear surveillance now, crossing a major line.
And then came the phone call to the author's workplace. The stalker calls, refuses to give his name, and then just launches into these graphic sexual threats. He claimed he was naked, touching himself, describing these incredibly sick and twisted things he'd do if he got the author alone. Just pure psychological terror over the phone.
Horrifying. Did the police get involved?
They did, and the police investigation uncovered some really disturbing facts. The detective told the author the biker was actually a known gang member and drug dealer from California, and he'd been stalking the author for over 6 months. And crucially, the detective said, "We believe he's been in your house."
Oh my God, that feeling of violation.
Yeah.
Knowing they've been inside your private space.
Exactly. But then the police did something. Well, shocking. They asked the author if he'd be willing to befriend the stalker.
Befriend him? Why?
To help them set up a drug sting operation. Despite knowing the guy was dangerous, had made threats, had likely been inside his home, they asked the victim to get close to him.
That's unbelievable, putting the victim in further danger like that.
It's staggering. But the ultimate violation was yet to come. The author and his husband came home one day and found a note under his pillow.
Yeah.
Yes. It read, "Hello, sexy nice house. I love the smell of your pillow. I hope you don't mind, but I borrowed a few of your sexy things. I will return them when I have added my own scent to them. Don't bother contacting the police. I know when your mother is home alone. I know your mother's schedule as well as your husband's. By the way, your roommate is a very sound sleeper. I will be seeing you soon."
This pure terror. The intimacy, the threat against family, knowing their schedules.
It's sickening. The climax came 6 months later. Neighbors called the police. They saw the biker placing a 15-gallon gas can lit on fire on the author's front doorstep and slashing his car tires.
He tried to burn the house down.
It seems like it. He was caught that time, and he only got 2 years on a plea deal. And the worst part, no requirement for the police to notify the author when he gets released.
Just 2 years. For all that terror, the threats, the arson attempt, that's horrifying in itself. It highlights the profound psychological damage a stalker can inflict. It's a different kind of horror from the supernatural, but utterly real and devastating. The helplessness is palpable.
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears back towards the potentially supernatural. This next story involves a child's terrifying encounter witnessed indirectly by her older brother. The narrator is a 17-year-old guy, grew up in a Christian home in rural Nevada. He admits he was pretty skeptical about ghosts and stuff. His 10-year-old sister Sarah often slept in his room because she was afraid of the dark.
A common childhood fear. Seems normal.
Right. But one night, they had an argument, and Sarah, maybe trying to be brave or defiant, decided she'd sleep in her own room. She leaves his room. 10 seconds pass, maybe less, and then she comes sprinting back in, pale as a ghost, leaps onto his bed, clinging to him, crying harder than he'd ever heard, like primal fear.
Okay, something clearly terrified her in those few seconds.
Exactly. When she could finally speak, she told him what happened. As she stepped out of his room, she looked down the hall towards their older brother's old, unused room, and she saw someone standing there. At first glance, the figure looked just like their dad, even wearing the same kind of clothes he usually wore.
Okay, so initial recognition.
But then it hit her. Her dad wasn't home. He drove a semi-truck. He was away on the road. The moment she had that realization, the figure slowly turned its head towards her. And as it turned, it morphed.
Morphed. Into what?
Her description is incredibly specific and grotesque. She said its hair became frizzy and black with red streaks. Its eyes glowed red. It had no nose. The skin was a palish blue, and you could see tar-black veins underneath. It was also extremely tall and slender, with long, bony arms that reached past its knees and its fingers. Long, sharp nails stained with some black substance.
That's incredibly detailed and utterly terrifying, like something from a nightmare made real.
And the way it stood, extremely straight and stiff, just staring at her. No sound. Just paralyzing fear washed over her. She wanted to run to her parents' room down the hall, but she was afraid she wouldn't make it past the figure. She glanced back at her brother's open door, her escape route. When she looked forward again, the figure was suddenly 2 feet closer, still standing stiff, still staring, silent.
That silent movement, retaining the posture, that's incredibly creepy.
She bolted, ran for her brother's room, feeling like it was getting closer and closer with every step, like it was right behind her. The second she crossed the threshold into his room, the feeling stopped.
Wow. The sense of pursuit ending right at the doorway.
Yeah. Her parents initially dismissed it as just a bad dream, you know? But Sarah was so genuinely terrified, so unlike herself, they eventually believed something had happened. They actually called a pastor at 1:05 in the morning to come and bless the house.
That late. They must have been convinced.
Seems like it. They moved away 2 years later, left whatever that thing was behind. Although, interestingly, they still experienced some minor, like poltergeist-type stuff, bowls falling, things like that, even in their new home in Hawaii.
The visceral detail in Sarah's description is striking. And the progression recognition, grotesque transformation, silent pursuit makes it particularly nightmarish. It taps into that primal fear of something that looks almost human, but is fundamentally wrong.
Definitely unsettling. Okay, our next story pushes the boundaries of reality itself. It involves one of those strange staircases in the woods legends, but with a very bizarre twist. The narrator knew about the urban legends, finding random staircases deep in national parks or forests, leading nowhere, no house attached. He never really believed them.
Right, they're a common feature in certain online horror communities, usually treated as fiction or misidentification.
Until one day, early summer, he's exploring the dense woods behind his house, and he finds one. A cobblestone staircase, sitting in the middle of a cobblestone rectangle on the ground, rising about 6 feet, seemingly unsupported.
Just
What's
there,
up?
in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. He was curious, climbed to the top step to get a better view of the woods. As he turned around up there, a loose stone under his foot slipped and he fell off the side. But instead of hitting the hard summer ground, his hand plunged deep into ice-cold, powdery snow.
Snow. In early summer.
Yes. He scrambled up, freezing. The entire forest around him was covered in at least 8 inches of snow. It was snowing heavily, but the staircase behind him, unchanged. Still cobblestone, no snow on it.
That's a complete environmental shift. Instantly.
Completely. He started trudging back towards where his house should be, and it was there, but different. His car was gone from the driveway. Instead, there were 2 unfamiliar cars and a small pink kid's bike.
Okay, this is getting seriously strange. Wrong cars, wrong time of year.
He barges into the house, desperate for answers. The foyer is decorated differently, and suddenly he's confronted by this angry guy wielding a baseball bat, yelling at him, accusing him of being crazy, asking who he is.
He's in someone else's house.
Yeah.
Someone else in his house.
Yeah. He didn't know. He just panicked and ran back through the snow, back to the staircase, and he had this moment of, desperate logic.
Which was?
If falling off the staircase put me here, maybe falling off it again will send me back.
Worth a shot, I guess, in that situation.
So he climbs up, turns around, and just lets himself fall off the same side again, this time. Thud. Hard ground. Familiar summer dirt and leaves. He looks up. The sun is out. He looks towards his house. His car is back in the driveway. The other cars, the bike, the snow, all gone.
Back to his own reality. Instantly again.
Exactly. He figured it out later. The man with the bat, the cars, the decorations, it matched descriptions of the family who owned the house before him. He thinks he somehow fell literally into the past.
That is profoundly disturbing. Those sudden, inexplicable shifts in reality. It's not just frightening, it's deeply disorienting. It makes you question the very foundations of your world. Sort of existential horror.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, our final story for today takes us back to childhood again. A forbidden exploration, a secret discovery by a creek, and a truly horrifying transformation. The narrator was about 10 or 11, they'd just moved, and he loved exploring the woods behind the new house. His parents put up a fence to keep him closer to home, but, kids, he'd sneak past it.
Curiosity often leads to unexpected places.
Indeed. One day, he follows this trail. It looked pretty well used, down to the bank of a small creek only about 3 feet wide. And on the other side, he sees an animal, a gray wolf. But it was clearly injured, badly. It had this large, deep gash on its side. It was drinking from the creek and howling, in pain.
Okay, a sad sight, but maybe not supernatural yet.
Not yet. He's watching this poor, injured wolf. And then it begins to morph.
Again, another transformation.
Yes. Slowly, horrifically, right before his eyes, the injured wolf transforms. Its shape changes, fur recedes. It becomes a full-grown, completely naked man.
While it's howling.
The howls of pain turn into human cries, pain and fear. And then the man, still seemingly in agony from the wound perhaps, looked right at the kid and screamed at him to get help.
Wow. Wow, a direct transformation witnessed like that. And the man asking for help.
Terrified, the kid just ran home as fast as he could. He never told his parents what he saw. He couldn't explain it. To this day, he still wonders what it was. A shapeshifter, a Wendigo. Werewolf, skinwalker. He just carries that image, that impossible, terrifying memory.
That taps into such ancient primal fears, doesn't it? Creatures that exist between animal and human. It's a theme in folklore across so many cultures. Witnessing that kind of raw, painful transformation firsthand, it would be incredibly unsettling, something that would absolutely sear itself into your memory. The ambiguity of what it was only adds to the lasting horror.
So quite a collection of stories we've explored today, from the insidious manipulation of a cult within a school to the relentless terror of a real-world stalker.
Then, the grotesque nightmare vision of a child, that sudden slip through reality itself, and finally that primal horror of witnessing a shapeshifter by the creek.
Each one is chilling in its own way, but together they really paint a picture, don't they? That the world holds far more unexplained and, frankly, terrifying things than we often like to admit, hidden just out of sight. It makes you wonder, what unseen horrors might be lurking just beyond your own doorstep? Or maybe even hiding in the quiet corners of your own mind, just waiting for the right moment to surface.
It's true. These kinds of deep dives into human experiences with fear often shine a light on our most fundamental vulnerabilities, the truly unexpected threats we might face.
Well, thank you for joining us on this rather chilling exploration today. If these stories sent a shiver down your spine, or maybe made you think twice about that noise downstairs, please consider showing your support. It helps us bring more of these unsettling tales to light. Go ahead and press the like button, share this deep dive with anyone you think might appreciate a good scare, and definitely subscribe to the Horror Docx channel. That way you won't miss any of our future stories. Until next time, try to sleep well, if you can.